Okay, so let's see first what is the model. Okay. Okay, so basically, mm, okay. Start from very basic thing. What is model? Okay, so this is the definition of model. That model defines the relationship between features and labels. Okay, so what is features? Anyone?
Columns, ma'am. I don't know. I'm audible.
Yes.
I said feature are data set column,
Yes.
like the variable you have.
See, this is, for example, this is our data in the table form. Okay, so this is our column A, column B, column C. Okay, and this is column D. So these all are independent variable. Okay, these all. Let me get my mouse. This ABC. And this we want its output. So we can say here column D. So this D is dependent, right? Dependent on what? This input file.
This variable.
These input variables also called as independent variable, and this is output variables, which is also called as labels. Okay, so if we want to what we do in machine learning or anything, we work on the data. This is our data. This all is our data. Okay, so we work on this data and we want something at output, and this output, okay, so this output is totally depend on this your input value. So you can also call this features. Okay, these input variables also called as features, and that's where the feature engineering comes. Okay, or you can say feature extraction. Feature extraction is also one of the most useful or most important part of machine learning, where if you remember in panda section, see, these are very simple, means I am using very simple examples for explaining this. Okay, so if you remember in panda section, each column was there. So my mouse is not working. Still I'm trying. Okay. So where 177 null values was there. Okay. So if you there was a total, I think 891 or something values was there. So for example, okay guys, let me tell you one thing. Just power cut happened here. If meeting closed, please join again. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. If meeting ends, please rejoin. Okay. So if this 177, for example, if the total number of features is 200, means 200 rows are there. In that example, there were 890 something. So if there are 200 rows and out of them 177 are null value, then what is the use of this age column, right? Because almost more than 50, more than 75 there are null value. So you can remove this age column completely. Okay. This you can say feature engineering, where you have to take decision which column should be there, which column should not be there. Okay. So we call it feature engineering or feature extraction. I'll explain about it in details later. So let's focus on our topic. Okay. So this is called input variables. This is called output variables. Okay. So there are again types of the outputs. So better I took text. Okay. So the output, either it is regression, okay, or classification. Okay. This should be here. Output. Okay. So what it means, your yi. Yi means this is, for example, this is your xi as the input, or this is your y. So if your yi belongs to R, that is regression. Okay. This is your regression problem, or your y belongs to continuous. If the output is continuous, then it belongs to regression. Okay. And if your yi belongs to -1 or +1. Okay. So these problems comes under classification. So this is the main difference between the regression and classification, that in regression you get the continuous output, and in classification you will get the classification starts from 2, means if one or more value are there, it comes under classification. Okay. So let's start with the training. So what is training means? This all input values we use for the training. Okay. So creating or learning model. That is, you show the model labeled examples and enable the model to gradually learn the relationship between features and label. So what we exactly do? Actually, there are types of labeling. So in OpenCV, we use different, for image labeling, we use different annotation. And here, this is also different annotation. So in training, we teach this input file that what exact output we want. Okay. So that's the training part comes here. And inference means applying the trained model to unlabeled example. Okay. So during training, we separate this data into either 70, 30,